G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Barrett M82A1, the mighty Barrett 50 cal. It's in Fallout 4. Again, fun fact, this is the third time I've actually used the Barrett 50 because this weapon, understandably, very popular, but I think this one is going to be the best incarnation of them all thus far because this is part of the Combined Arms Modern Weapons Pack, which adds 14 weapons, this one included. So you get a lot of weapons just for one download there, which is great. All of them are injected into the level list. You'll find them on enemies, so you'll be being fired on by 50 cals if you're high level, so bring your armor. And all of these things are actually craftable on a chemistry station, so if you're looking for them or you just want to get them real quick and you've got the resources, you can make them, and the ammo as well. That's very important. So, Barrett 50 cal, it's an iconic weapon. I think everybody loves it. It's just a gigantic rifle firing gigantic bullets, and you can snipe stuff from long ranges. There's a couple of ways you can optimize this thing to really have the best effect. So if you want to go for super long range, you've got attachments to facilitate that. There's standard damage stuff, and there's a little bit better DPS type stuff. So we'll quickly get into it now. So for the receivers, most of this really isn't all that interesting. The main ones you want to have a think about having are these ones down the bottom here. So the military grade will increase your range and damage by a lot. That's kind of like the damage receiver here. The fast cycling will increase your DPS as well as damage a little bit from the worn, but it decreases your range slightly as compared to the military grade one. And a hardened chamber here will seal up the barrels and everything real nice and give you the most range boost. If you're going to use this thing as like the sniping weapon that it was used for, what you want to do is chuck on attachments to give you the most range. Therefore your penalty at range is not going to be as bad as it would be otherwise. But for this one, we'll go flat damage boost, so the military grade we shall put on. Now for the barrels, we've just got the standard 29-inch barrel there, but we can make it shorter if we want, ultra compact. So if you want to be close quarters vatsing stuff, that's probably the way to go there. Looks kind of silly with the little stubby barrel onto it, but you've got a little bit of a VATS viability thing there, so that's pretty good. You can also have an ultra heavy barrel to decrease the recoil a little bit with this big ass funky muzzle brake on it, which is kind of cool. But you probably noticed down here we've got almost a 40-inch barrel. It's non-reciprocating, so to increase the recoil by quite significant amounts, but honestly the recoil on this thing isn't that bad at all. And you'll note that these have commander, heavy gunner, and sniper things along with them. So you're going to have to be pretty high level and well perked out and pretty specialized to actually modify this thing. So definitely for an endgame user, I think, which is nice that the mod has given you really good options there. Now for the stock, we've got a factory stock right now, which is just the standard parts. You can make it lighter, which might be useful if you're playing in like a survival mode, because right now, this thing with the factory stock weighs 36 pounds, which is almost twice as heavy as a Fat Man launcher, so that's interesting, isn't it? You can also have a comfort stock for extra recoil. It's not really that great. Really, what you want to do is either chuck a tactical stock on or a heavy sniper stock. There's a little bit of a monopod there, so if you want to go for a full tactical sniper loadout for your Barrett, then that's the way to go there. Tactical stock will help you reduce the recoil the most, so if you want to fire this thing very rapidly without using VATS, that's probably the way to go for that. But we'll chuck on the heavy sniper stock because, you know, this thing, it just needs to be longer, I reckon. And we're playing as a female character, so it's not like we're compensating for anything. So there you go. There's a reason why you want to play as a female. Anyways, so we've got 50 BMGs chambered in this right now. We can change it to the 416 Barretts here, which will do less damage, but slightly more accurate. You have 25mm grenades, so that'll add a lot more punch, but it'll also add travel time, so make sure you've got that in mind. So it'd be like a very long-range grenade launcher. I'm thinking, back in Killzone 1, you used to get a big heavy weapon called a squad cannon. It'd be like that, except without all the gyros wrapped around your back so you can, it doesn't toss you around with the recoil that it gives. Maybe that'll be a mod. If I ever get into modding, I want to make a squad cannon in Fallout 4. That'd be unreal. And you can have big bullets here, 20mm, so they're going to be hit scan again. It'll require rank 5 in heavy gunner, rank 3 in sniper to get, but look at that damage. Gonna have to chuck those on for sure. That's real nice. Now we've got a bunch of scope things here. Starting from the top, we've got iron sights, and then we've got whole bunch of reflex sights, a lot of Russian sights here. Actually, I don't know if Basque is American. I got a feeling that it is? But I don't know, it looks like the Chinese site, the Coyote one they used to use in Battlefield 4. I know the Cobra's a Russian site, it even says it here, but I knew that from Battlefield games. But we'll move on. You've got some lower powered scopes, so if you want to use this thing at slightly closer ranges, that's got you covered, and some sort of medium scope here at the ×4. Just for reference, for vanilla reasons, the standard scopes or the short scopes are 4 times, medium scopes 6 times, and the long scopes are 10 times. And we're going to leave this long scope on here because I like the look of it, but I think if we want to snipe from range, we're going to be using the scope here to really scope out our enemies. There's also a ×12 one if you really want to get super far away, but at that point you'd probably be running into problems with the thing's range anyway, especially if you've got a suppressor on the front. But yeah, that's a nice option to have. And this one's advanced, it's got night vision. This one's got night vision as well. It's an experimental scope, looks kind of funky, doesn't match the colors, which is not very aesthetically pleasing, so we'll leave that. But you've got just a shit ton of options there, so many. So you can put a bunch of muzzle brakes on here, which I have to actually turn the weapon around so you can see them because the barrel's too long. Apparently that one's just a spaceship. It's a compact compensator. You know, look, the thing's long enough. We don't need to chuck a compensator on it already. You could have a Colossus muzzle brake, which is, oh yeah, that's what you want. Big old muzzle brake. So it reduces recoil, but it'll make it heavy, like really heavy. So that's 40 pounds already. That's going to add another 4 onto it, which is massive. So we're almost... we're basically double, more than double and a half the weight of a Fat Man launcher right now. But you can have a suppressor of the lightweight, heavy suppressor, or a covert suppressor. The heavy suppressor is the longest, and it's got a little got a little muzzle brake on the end for good measure there, and that'll give you a slightly better range boost because obviously that's more barrel space, so it would increase your range if you're using a real life firearm. So that's a Barrett M107 now, so I suppose it's just a designation for this thing chambered in big ass bullets with a long barrel. You can chuck a bipod on the barrel, on the underbarrel. You can have it collapsed or folded up. That's good. It also helps improve recoil control, makes the thing heavier, unlike the bar did yesterday, which is just kind of a aesthetic choice. You can have a laser or a flashlight on this. Kind of doubt the use of a flashlight. Oh look, the mod even acknowledges that. So yeah, why not? Yeah, I'd almost be convinced by that, but I won't be using it. I think what I'll do here is just chuck the gigantic bipod on, and you can paint it. You can paint it black. I'm going to paint it black, but there's a standard finish, Desert Storm, and an Arctic Warfare. If you're using one of those Frost mods and you want this thing in your game, you can make it all immersive and white to match the snow. Awesome. Alright, so now we get into ammo types. So there's lots of stuff going in right now. Kind of want to get through this as quickly as possible because we've been dragging on for quite long enough. Although this is kind of interesting though because you can get even higher amounts of damage. So we're almost hitting... we've almost hit 1300 with the high grain here, which is amazing. That's great. And we can have overpressure, you can have armor-piercing incendiary, you can even have explosive rounds, depleted uranium for radiation damage. I don't think it's that radioactive, but, you know, it's Fallout, so we may as well extend the laws of physics in real life. Then you have Exacto prototypes, which are smart bullets that can maneuver mid-flight. I kind of doubt we'll get that with a non-missile projectile. Maybe if you're using the non-hit scan grenades, then that would be the way to go, but probably don't use that for a hit scan projectile, I don't think. But as you can tell, there's a whole lot of things there. So anti-personnel, stabilized saber, and there's a little bit of a saber light penetrating armor thingy. So yeah, it's some pretty good stuff. High pressure is generally what I like to go for. High grain here, sorry, is what I go for because you get a little bit of a range penalty, but the damage is going to be worth it at 1300. How can I say no? There's also a bunch of stickers you can chuck on. I've replaced Cooler Vault Boy with the Reaper emblem from XCOM 2 because I thought all of these were kind of lame, to be honest. I mean, the faction ones are cool. There's no Legion here. There's NTR, but there's no Legion. So you can't put the bull on the side of this, and I guess Ulysses is very unhappy about that. And if you chuck a reflex sight, you can go through a whole bunch of reticle styles for that. We're using a big old scope right now, we'll just use the vanilla look for that. And we've got ourselves a legendary effect if we need it. I'm tempted, but I won't. I'm going to hold a little bit of restraint. Alright, so there's our Barrett M107, and the thing's long now, like really long. If I walk around with it, it's clipping through the ground, but it's compatible. It's compatible with classic holstered weapons, but here's the thing, here's a little bit of wisdom for today. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Also, we look like XCOM Reapers right now. That's where I got the idea to change the sticker. And I'm also missing the ammo. That's okay, I can craft it. Okay, so here's another thing. If you've selected the grenade rounds, you can select the ammo type as well. There's yet even more customization. So you've got blast wave, semtex, proximity. You can have a makeshift slug, which reduces your range, which is funny. You can have a MERV grenade, so plenty of explosions for one. EMP for fighting robots. And a makeshift dirty grenade for radiation. Quite a lot of radiation, actually. Really good against human targets. Not that useful against anything else. Probably the best thing to go with here is just impact for just flat damage. Although the extra flame damage here, the Skyrim have fire damage that it's not resisted by any armors in the vanilla game. That's kind of useful. That's an extra 380 damage for free there, although you don't get a lot of your ballistic damage there. So yeah, definitely just the standard thing seems to be the best thing. Also worth mentioning, if you've got more than one of these Barretts in your inventory, sometimes the ammo type just doesn't show up. So if that's the case, just drop them or put them in a container for later and then make your necessary changes as needed. Righto, weather's cleared up. We've got ourselves the biggest, darkest Dark Lance you've ever seen. We're playing as Reaper class, so we got to stay in concealment. If we can get a kill in concealment, our chance to reveal will be nothing because we've got Silent Killer. The Suppressor definitely helps with that perk. The Reapers in XCOM can get away with it without utilizing a Suppressor, so good for them, right? So what you are seeing is just basically exactly how you'd probably want to run a Barrett 50 cal. If I had to get an elevated position somewhere, I would. Maybe I'd just like jump in a jetpack power armor unit and just like jetpack up to the top of that there plaza and just snipe down from there. But this will be just fine where we are. Now, we are chambering the big 20mm rounds here, so we only get 5 per magazine, but as you can tell, despite the recoil throwing the camera all the way up, we kind of center exactly where we were shooting like in like 2 seconds, less than that. And wrong now, the shadows have failed us. But with that, we can actually get really quick follow-up shots, and this thing, it's basically a guaranteed hit in VATS anywhere, so that's really good. So we can spam all these criticals all we want. I guess the drawback to that is we don't actually get a whole lot of VATS shots per round. We get 4. I don't think we'll get too much more than that, to be honest. And I think the jig is up by now, so I guess we'll keep on sniping at these ones. Take that, chump. Yes, eat lead, gunner. And yep, confirm you can get knockdowns with this still. Okay, we're back into caution. That one got a lucky hit in. That's okay. We've got alien alloy plated armor, so we can take a few bullets here and there. And the combat music's going away because we're going so well. But you know what? Maybe this is boring for the viewer because I'm just stomping these guys, sniping them with no real danger to myself. So let's creep a little bit closer. If I happen to get spotted, we can switch up the loadout a little bit. Ooh, can I hit him? No. I don't trust the hitboxes to actually allow me to score that hit over there. They didn't say I'm not going to try to sneak, though, if I can, just to pick off a couple of random gunners. No, never mind. So we'll switch over to something else now. This is the one with the see-through scope, chambered in 50. And not as powerful, evidently, but that's okay. We managed to get a 3-shot kill there, which is fairly okay. And looks like guaranteed shots there. Hey, is that the Gauss rifle lady? It is, in fact. She came down from the roof just to see me. And, ooh, it's raining again. That's okay. Combat's already started. If anything, that'll help my stealth out if I still want to use suppressors. So, that's nice. And there's something else that they're distracted on now. So, I suppose I ought to run closer, maybe. So these guys, fairly effective at tanking me 50 cal bullets, especially when I can't exactly see what I'm shooting at and I'm missing half the bloody time. No idea. So let's move and try to reposition. Perhaps we can get a nice little VATS round off so we can spam some more criticals. Let's see. 3 shots for you, which leaves us 1 shot for you. So I guess a minimum of 2 kills here. That's not too bad. But yes, despite having a much lower power scope and a shorter barrel, this thing doesn't seem like it's that much better in VATS at all, which is kind of a shame. I'm going to blow up that car because it amuses me so. Alright, let's move on to the next one. This is the one with a short barrel chambered in the 416, and hopefully that'll allow us to get a good rate of fire. Also with the tiniest barrel you've ever seen on a Barrett, so, and despite all of that, it seems to be going okay, actually. It is chambered in the incendiary explosive, so if I do get the hits in, we're going to be having a good time in terms of damage. Go away, Mantis. This is not a lore video. It's a weapon review video. It's a lot more important anyway. There we go. Looks like this thing carrying a little bit more power than what I had before, and someone's got an MG42. Yep, you die now. Take your time, Kira. VATS. There we go. And we're in Nerd Rage now. Really don't... I think we were caught in a reload there? Don't know. There we go. We'll try to get some heals from the Nerd Rage kills here. Everything's in slow motion. Makes it slightly easier to hit. Alright, we're actually above 20% health again, which is good news, because if we get down a Nerd Rage again, we can repeat the vicious cycle. Now, so that was your incendiary, explosive, powerful round type things, and not much use against a target that far away. Enter the grenade launcher. Kind of like frag rounds back in the day in bloody USAS 12, the USAS 12. I remember doing that. Look, I ain't above using cheap tactics in multiplayer games. I used to play TDM, USAS 12, frag rounds, Claymore, support class. I was unbeatable, I'll tell you that much. So it looks like some gunners fighting some Rust Devils. Some robot raiders have shown up here. And this will give me an adequate way to demonstrate that, yeah, these aren't hit scanned, but they still move fairly quickly. They definitely move a lot faster than what you'd find the railway spikes, for reference, use. And we only get 4 shots despite a reflex sight and a shorter barrel here, so it doesn't look like there's much in the way of VATS optimization here. So it's either range or damage, to be honest. So there you go. It's not entirely accurate either, so probably want to just spray at the ground and let the splash damage cover everything else. And we're back into caution or in danger there, but we fixed that problem fairly quickly. Honestly, not really convinced by these rounds here. If I were to make these a little bit better compared to basically anything else I've used, I'd probably increase the splash radius. Probably use... maybe find something that's about 3/4 the size of a frag grenade explosion, or just maybe reduce the radius of the frag grenade explosion and then use it from that, because it just doesn't seem to do that much damage at all. Plus, there's already missile launchers in the game, which have a, you know, despite firing much slower projectiles, have a lot better punch. And you know what? We're going to leave those 3 gunners in there because I can't be bothered lockpicking now. Let's move on to something a little bit beefier. Chop it down easily with the old stealth, and then the game will crash. Okay, looks like Swan's having a little bit of fun with the Rust Devils, and that's twice they've rocked up unannounced. So what we'll do is, I think we've got the power to deal with these guys, you know, despite not being able to sneak crit them, just because of how strong we are. With this, we'll take out the sentry butt because it's a big boy and it's easy to hit. Where's old mate over here? Alright, he goes down. That would mean there's only one left, maybe? No, he's attacking something else. There's something over here as well. Can't quite see him. I think Swan will take care of him in a second, surely. No, he's still not done with this Rust Devil, who's taking the rocks fairly well, actually. For a must mean he's just a standard sort of Raider veteran sort of bloke. That guy's charging in despite everyone of his friends being dead. And now we can get started on Swan. So, yep, that's good. If we get a knockdown here, then that would be unreal. Get a bit of hipfire action, bit of no-scope and voyeur. See what we can do here. Oh yeah, that's good. And looks like the jig's about to be up because he's going to find us very quickly. Are we fighting yet? Nope. Oh, it started raining, so we managed to get a couple more bits of sneak crits there. Stop that, I'm fragile, I'm a Reaper, I'm not supposed to be in direct combat. Go punch on with a Templar, would ya? That'd be a bit easier. Let's see if we can use our Shadow ability. That's the enhanced version of Conceal. Not happening. We're being flanked at the moment. Got to do it out of line of sight. Righto, let's move on to this one. This is the explosive one. And looks like we can fire this thing a lot faster, so we'll spam it like All American from New Vegas, right? That'll do the job. And just hope the spread doesn't kick us in the arse here, like it just did. Let's get a couple of shots in bats if we can. And if you want to reload whilst I'm targeting in bats, I was kind of waiting for that, but that's okay. Go for a crit here. And here's a rock. That's Nerd Rage. Don't mind me, just reloading. Wait for that to pop into 10. There we go. Quick hands perk. It's good stuff. And now we can spam it faster than what is humanly possible without the use of Jet or something like Nerd Rage. That was a powerful finisher there. Feeling a bit squishy at the moment, but Swan's dead, so that's all that matters. Let's move on to something else then. Okay, so we're up here, and we're going to shoot a giant crab for kicks. We're in our sniper's nest, so we'll just fire at his face. And if we don't see him, we'll fire at his legs. And you can't really see the... ooh, he just almost got launched for a second. You can't see the damage numbers because the recoil is too high, but this guy has about the same health. I think he's got like 25,000 or something. And we got him mutated fairly early on there, so we'll go for the legs if we can't hit his face, because that is also a weak point of a Mirelurk, and we should be done with this fella very, very soon indeed. There's also a tiny little crab there who's got his face right down. I don't exactly know why he's doing that. He's trying to sneak, is he? Not on my watch, mate. And he goes down. We hit him for about 4,000 there. Yeah, this is probably the way you want to use this thing. You just want to snipe with it and do nothing else, right? Going close quarters with the Barrett. I mean, who does that, right? Okay, this time I want to be somewhere where we can actually see the health bar of what exactly we're shooting at. This guy's a spindly dude, so he might be a little bit harder to kill. No, we can kind of just perma-stun him and then be almost done in a magazine. That's good, isn't it? And we'll hip-fire the last couple of shots, because I can. Gotta get those no-scope kills for me COD montage, right? Oh no, caught in a reload. I'm just gonna step over here and bust your pathing, mate. It's not a good day to be a Wendigo, is it? And I think I'm going to call it there for the M82, or just the Barrett 50 cal. And I've had a good time with this thing. It kind of doesn't really work in any ways except for just using it for a sniper thing, which is its purpose anyway, so I'm okay with that. You can't really push it to do things like a close quarters, like DMR type weapon, if you will. So it's unfortunate that you can't do that, but it does excel in its sniping role, so I do believe that is what you'd want to use it for. And even if you aren't particularly enthusiastic with the way it sort of does the other roles that I tried it out, it would be better than that at close quarters, at least, than an SV98. So, you know, definitely the flagship model of the thing, I reckon, because it's a ton of fun to use. I highly recommend downloading this mod. Link will be in the description. If there's no Xbox One, I'll try to find a little bit of a alternative, and that'll be linked in the description. Thank you very much for watching, guys.